This woman is a fraud. She set up a small stall at the train station where she collected money to help illiterate people write and send letters. But in fact, she never actually sent those letters. Instead, she took them home, opened them, and shared the contents with her best friend. She would tear up any letters she didn't like and keep the ones she thought were good in a drawer. Despite having her stall for so long, she hadn't sent a single letter. If anyone asked why they never received a letter, Dora would blame the Brazilian post office. This money-making scheme had almost no costs at all. One day, a mother and son came to her asking if yesterday's letter had been sent. She said she would send it after work. They wanted to make changes to yesterday's letter because writing wasn't enough to satisfy the son's longing for his father. They wanted to inform the father to come visit next month. Impatiently, Dora helped them make the changes. Just then, Joshua asked,
Mas mãe, é que você sabe que ela vai botar a carta no correio? Você ainda nem botou a carta no envelope.
Deixe ser mal educado, menino. Não vê que a senhora queria ajudar a mãe?
Próximo.
The mother and son left the station satisfied. But tragedy struck as they were crossing the street. The mother was hit by a car. Joshua became an orphan, having no idea where to go. He could only sit alone in the station waiting room, silently shedding tears. The next day, Joshua found Dora and asked for her help to write a letter, informing his father about the accident and asking him to come as soon as possible. But Dora knew Joshua had no money, so she refused to help him. Joshua could only cry and beg Dora to give him the letter his mother wrote yesterday. However, Dora claimed that the letter had already been sent and impatiently told Joshua to leave. After work, Dora boarded the train back home. That's when she noticed Joshua staring at her with resentment. Dora anxiously looked around. Joshua desperately tried to catch up to the train, believing that his mother's letter must still be with Dora. Joshua, who was already a wanderer like his mother, now had no place to go and could only sleep at the station. The next day, Dora found him again when she came to the station. Perhaps out of guilt, she brought him some bread. But Joshua, determined, refused her kindness. Dora didn't want to deal with him anymore, but after talking with a man for a while, she found Joshua again and acted even more friendly and helpful. Hungry Joshua slowly started to soften. Eventually, Dora took him home and her best friend immediately fell in love with the little boy. They became good friends at the dinner table. Joshua thanked Dora for letting him have a full meal. But then he discovered the drawer full of letters, including his mother's letter. Joshua made Dora promise to send the letters. Dora only half-heartedly agreed. The next morning, Dora took Joshua out early and followed the man at the station to a luxurious apartment.
Vai tudo morar com família rica na Europa, nos States. O Gabiruzinho aí vai ficar cheio do dólar quando crescer.
Joshua realized that Dora was going to sell him and tears streamed down his face. After Dora received $1,000, she left satisfied. That's how Joshua became a brand new television. Dora's best friend noticed that something was off and kept asking her. Finally, Dora confessed, reassuring her friend that Joshua would find happiness.
Você não lê jornal, criatura. Não é adoção coisa nenhuma. Eles matam as crianças para vender os órgãos.
Que isso? Não é nada disso. Eu estive lá.
Ele já tá grandinho demais para ser adotado, Dora.
That night, Dora tossed and turned, the sound of train outside her window like the devil's whisper relentlessly lashing at her heart. The next morning, Dora found many children's photos in the envelopes. She went back to the apartment from the day before and told the woman she still had more children. The woman wanted to go back to the room to discuss it. Dora took the opportunity to sneak into the room and find Joshua. She grabbed him and they desperately tried to escape, but the woman caught up to them. They struggled at the door and Dora finally managed to close the door. The two of them anxiously hailed a taxi. From the window, the woman cursed at them loudly. Dora called her friend, but all she heard was nonsensical rambling, suspecting that the human traffickers had found her home. After that, Dora bought 2 tickets, intending to personally take Joshua back to his father. But Joshua still believed she was a bad woman and refused to travel with her. He took back his mother's letter and went alone to the ticket gate. She looked at the child, stepping into the darkness, alone and lonely. Dora's conscience was once again stirred. Just before the bus departed, Dora caught up to Joshua. They didn't say a word, and in the pitch-black night, the 2 strangers traveled together to an unknown place. In the dim morning light, the bus arrived at a transfer station. The boy saw some shirts in a shop and wanted to make a good impression on his father. After some hesitation, Dora and Joshua both changed into new clothes. Back on the bus, Joshua started to have a different opinion of Dora. He told her his father was his idol, a carpenter who could make anything. But Dora believed that his father must have abandoned them and was probably an alcoholic prone to domestic violence, just like her own father. After her mother's death, Dora left home because she felt that home no longer existed without her mother. That's why she never trusted men and was very resistant to emotions. The scenery outside the window kept changing. Joshua's mind was in turmoil as if Dora's words had struck him. At night, Dora woke up from her sleep
Olha aí, pessoal. O garoto tá cheio da cachaça, meu.
It turns out Joshua had secretly taken a sip of Dora's drink. Dora scolded him loudly and pulled him back to his seat. After arriving at another transfer station, Dora took the opportunity while Joshua was still sleeping and gave him some money. But Dora's own experiences made her believe that Joshua's mother shouldn't forgive his father, so she secretly took Joshua's mother's letter and also gave some money to the driver to take care of Joshua. Finally, she bought a return ticket and sat in a restaurant, drinking and waiting for the bus to depart. She watched as Joshua's bus left the transfer station, and then she let out a gasp. She went to Joshua and told him not to get off the bus, but Joshua didn't say a word, just silently shedding tears. But there was worse news. Joshua had forgotten to take his backpack with him. Now both of them had no money. The hungry pair watched others eat, longing to satisfy their hunger. There is no substitute for the original movie. A good film is worth watching it yourself. But you don't know where you can watch these movies? Use Superbox. With Superbox, you can access all live TV channels in 4K quality. It also provides access to over 13,000 movies and series, and updates with the newest content very often. The total cost for one of these is 2 months of your cable bill. Then you never have to pay fees or bills ever again. Click the link in my bio and use my code to get it at a better price.